What is going on, folks? I am Goat, and welcome back to the breakdown. Hi. Super Wild Card Weekend, man. Super Wild Card Weekend. That is the dumbest fucking name ever, okay? Why not just call it Wild Card? Okay, so 5-1 for Wild Card, for Super Wild Card Weekend. Chiefs and Eagles obviously had first round bye. So it left us 6 games, 4 of which were actually pretty fucking entertaining, 2 of which, not so much. 2 of them were rough. Sorry, I just need to put batteries in a couple of my mods, and then we're going to be off to the races, baby. Christ on a stick. What a weekend. I mean, like, the first game should have been like a prelude of, you know, this is what we do. Sorry, these are 2 finicky fucking mods of mine, so I have to do them, and I'm ill prepared, so never ready to go when I should be. Cool. We have Vaperoonies. Okay, so sorry about the delay. Okay. Here we are into the fat mix of this. So again, like last week, as far as my playoff predictions, I have typed out the scenario here. Okay, as far as my feelings about the game, and then of course my feelings about the upcoming divisional games, right? Because goddamn. So Seahawks at 49ers. I chose 49ers to win. They most certainly did. They exposed the Seahawks for exactly what they were. Now, as I figured, you know, the Seahawks actually did put up a fight in the first quarter, but as their team has been showing its deficiencies in the second half of the season, most especially, the 49ers just played a really, really solid game against an opponent that they know very well. Okay. I don't really think that that's up for dispute as far as like them knowing each other very well. They just really do. Sorry, I'm trying to fix a thing here real quick. So I mean, that's where we're at with the Seahawks, 49ers. 49ers won convincingly 41-23. The next game, chose Jaguars to win, said it was probably going to be close, and goddamn, man. I mean, I couldn't have said that this was close and been farther from the truth and then so right at the same time, right? The third biggest comeback in NFL playoff history by the Jaguars, winning 31-30 over the Chargers. What a fucking insane game. And truth be told, this is 100% on the Chargers. Now, I'm just going to read you what I typed out here and then kind of maybe put a few extra thoughts in. What the actual fuck, first of all? Okay, what the fuck did we all witness for this game, right? 30 seconds left in the first half. Nobody would have, I don't think anybody would have thought. Sorry about that. I don't think anybody would have thought that we would have seen a comeback win by the Jaguars when they were down 27-0 with basically 30 seconds left and the Jaguars driving. And then the entire second half, the Chargers could literally only rally a 3-point, a single field goal. They couldn't get anything going. Truth be told, if it wasn't for field position, they really wouldn't have gotten anything going in the first half. The Chargers were actually, although the numbers might say differently, as far as the scoreboard, as far as the overall numbers, the Chargers were really stagnant on offense in this game. Their defense came up big because of some turnovers. They had 5 of them. And you know what? Kudos to the fucking Jaguars. Okay, kudos to the fucking Jaguars for literally finding a way. Defense finding a way. Just keeping the Chargers stagnant. Offense finding a way of just moving the ball in any fucking way that they could and just doing what they needed to do. And that is that. The biggest thing that you can take away from this game is that the Chargers consistently shot themselves in the foot in this game over and over and over like it didn't hurt. I don't know what to say about that. So, next game, Dolphins at Bills. I said that the Bills were going to win this, and I didn't honestly think that this was going to be a very close game. I thought this was going to be a bit of a lackluster game. I was wrong. Throw out everything I fucking said last week. Okay? Aside from the Bills' inconsistency issues. Okay. The way Josh Allen and the Bills defense played against the Dolphins, I am surprised as fuck that they actually won this game. The lack of experience from Skylar Thompson is the only thing that cost the Dolphins this potential of their upset win over the Bills. And that's not a knock on him. It's just, it's like I've said, when you put in, your third string quarterback who hasn't had very many snaps with the first string, it's a very difficult position to be in from that kid's position. He's 24, 25, I think he's 25 years old. He just doesn't have a lot of experience, and to stick him in as a starter in a playoff game with not a whole lot of reps with the squad. Yeah, it's rough. That's a big ask. As crazy as it sounds, honestly, I think that, if you go the entire offseason, OTAs, the preseason, all this, training camp, the whole shebang, and then put him into the game. I actually, the way Skylar was trying to play, like, the kid's got potential. He really does. But even with that being said, with all of the fact that there's some very sure-handed quarterbacks that are going to be on the market this offseason, I don't see them placing him as the starter, probably the backup. I think he'll be an amazing backup at this point, and probably a good starter in a year or two, especially if he's got a good quarterback to sit behind. But I will say this, if the Bills don't straighten up their horse shit and all of these inconsistent bullshit issues in this week's practice, they might as well just not even show up for the game next week. Okay, if they play like they did against the Dolphins in their next game, they're going to be packing bags and just walking home, because they're playing a home game, so they can just pack the bags and walk home. So it is what it is. But the Bills did win 34-31. Yeah. Giants at Vikings. Now, I did choose Vikings, but I did say that the Vikings were going to have to get ahead. Okay, and they were going to have to get convincingly ahead, and they did not do that. Okay, they did not do that at all. And I said that if the Vikings didn't get ahead, that the Giants defense was going to be just good enough to keep the Giants offense in the game. And the Giants offense literally went the fuck off on them. I mean, they did. They didn't go fucking insane, but they did more than enough to win this game. Giants won this game convincingly, 31-24 over the fucking, explosive ass fucking Vikings. But like I said, the Vikings have had a very, very mediocre offense and a very mediocre defense and an erratically explosive offense. I mean, you got to think about what they had 12 or 13 games that came down to like game-winning drives. Third seed in the fucking NFC. I mean, come on. That doesn't spell that you're an amazing team. That just means you're really good at staying in the game and winning at the last second. Sorry for any Vikings fan. That sucks because it looked like they had a lot of potential, but, and I even picked them to win, but I was wrong. So it is what it is. I think, honestly, the biggest surprise game for me, next to the Dolphins game, like, I had two big surprise games. The first one was the Dolphins-Bills game, okay? I wasn't expecting the Jaguars-Chargers game to be a surprise game, even though it was by score and by history. But the Ravens-Bengals, man, if it wasn't for one idiotic formation setup for a quarterback sneak into the end zone from the 2-yard line, and then an inexperienced quarterback trying to leapfrog his own O-line and then the entire D-line from 2 yards out and basically get the ball smacked out of his fucking hands, the Ravens had all the momentum in this game to win. They really, 100%, they had time on their side. Their defense was just shutting the Bengals down. But 98-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown for the defense, which is what ended the game at 24-17. Bengals over the Ravens. I mean, what do you say? The biggest takeaway for me is that if it weren't for the play that caused the fumble recovery, the Bengals were in a dire position of losing this game. But this game showed something not so good for the Bengals. The Bengals' offensive line is dinged up. Their secondary is dinged up. They're not moving the ball well, and they're really not protecting Burrow insanely well. That is not a good thing going up against the very explosive Buffalo Bills team. Now, that being said, Joe Burrow is very good at getting the ball out very quickly due to that line's deficiencies from last year and the year before when he was hurt. So, I mean, he excels. He looks like young Tom Brady with a lot more confidence. And it's like he's got a lot more free reign to do what he wants to do, right? So I think Burrow is a more poised version of a young Tom Brady. Very quick to release, very not afraid to just dink and dunk all the way down to the fucking field because he knows the score is the score and he's going to win one way or another. So that's at least his goal. But their vulnerabilities right now, due to injury, is something that the Bills could absolutely exploit. But again, if the Bills play as erratic as they did against the Dolphins, it's not going to be an exploitable issue because the Bengals are just going to convincingly take that game. That Bills-Bengals game is going to be a weird one. Last game of the week, holy Jesus Christ, Cowboys at Bucks. Cowboys beat the ever-living shit out of the fucking Buccaneers, and it doesn't seem like it on the scoreboard, but I mean, add an extra 3 points in there. 31 to 14, and those 14 points literally came in the second half. Like one, I think, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then one towards the end of the fourth quarter. God damn. Past the first 3 possessions of the game for the Cowboys, because it was bad. 3 and out. 3 punts, right? Not good. After that, this game was a fucking dominant clinic from the Cowboys against the Buccaneers on both sides of the ball. Okay. It's like this game was literally the only game that had absolutely nothing in question as far as who was going to win this game. Brady looked terrible until there was like 5 minutes left in the game. Okay. Like it's almost like they came into this game with no game plan, and obviously that's not the case. But there is a looming thing, right? The only looming problem that the Cowboys have right now is that they don't have a kicker that's worth a shit all of a sudden. Their kicker missed, I think, every single fucking, oh no, he got 1 extra point of 4. Dude, as rough. It's rough. So they better get that kicker situation sorted out, because going up against the 49ers defense, that's one thing that you potentially need is a good field goal kicker, because they can lock you out of the fucking out of the red zone pretty good to where all you're doing is kicking field goals. So the last thing you want is to have a field goal kicker that's not in a good place. So for the divisional round, we're going to have Jaguars at Chiefs, Giants at Eagles, Bengals at Bills, and Cowboys at 49ers. And if my picks are correct, this is going to be interesting as fuck. We'll get into that in a minute. So first game, Jaguars at Chiefs. I think that we can state the obvious here, okay? Since the Chiefs have played the Jaguars last, the Jaguars have kind of found a whole lot of confidence, and they found their identity. Okay, I don't think that that's much in question. Now that being said, if the Chiefs defense shows up the way they've been playing for like the last 4 or 5 games, I don't see the outcome being anything different. I really don't. I don't know that the Jaguars have enough offense to answer if they go down to the Chiefs and score. Especially with that young secondary, the Chiefs really kind of maturing, with the D-line being almost oppressive as fuck. I mean, the only question mark there is Frank Clark, but the D-line, even without Frank Clark, they just shift Dunlap in there and everything's fine. This has been such a weird season for the Chiefs defense, but just like in 2020 and 2021, the defense came on strong at the end of the season. Now, granted, last year they just kind of fell the fuck apart against the Bengals, both games. But aside from that, I mean, and then the Bills game just being an absolute fucking shootout. Aside from that, the Chiefs defense really woke the fuck up in the second half of the season. That's what they've done again this year. It's like they take a half a season to actually start looking good. And that's going to be a big problem. Okay? That's going to be a big problem. That and Jacksonville's defense does have a problem. They're terrible against tight ends. They're questionable against the run. And the fact that they tend to get lost, like they don't necessarily mind doing man-to-man coverage, which truthfully, I don't know that there is a really good coverage with Mahomes this season, but man-to-man coverage is very questionable with the weapons that he's got. Okay, zone defense is almost worse, and the Jaguars do a lot of shifting between man-to-man and like, you know, 2 or 3 high zone. So I don't really know what to say. Like, I don't think the Jaguars have a defensive answer for Kansas City. I mean, are they going to be able to stop them here and there? Sure. Can they potentially get some turnovers? Yeah, absolutely. But are they going to be able to absolutely lock down Travis Kelce plus Juju Smith-Schuster plus Jerick McKinnon plus Isaiah Pacheco, you know, plus MVS plus Sky Moore, plus Kadarius Toney? I mean, you know, Blake Bell. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, hell, Jody Fortson may play. They probably won't, but Jody Fortson may play. There's so many weapons on the offense for the Chiefs that I just don't think the Jaguars have a defensive answer for it. So I'm going with Chiefs on this game. Could be a close one. I don't know, but I mean, I think it's going to be much like the other one. Probably 7, you know, touchdown to maybe a 2 possession game. But I mean, with the Jaguars finding their identity, they're trying to find ways to win. You know, and their defense is locking down when they need to. So it's entirely possible this could be a very close game. I have no idea, but I just don't see it. Not right now. So the next one, Giants at Eagles. This one's going to be a lot shorter because honestly, as much as I want to believe that the Giants can win this game, I feel that this is going to come down to just how well their defense pressures Jalen Hurts. If they can't sustain realistic pressure on him both as a quarterback and as being mobile, to get him, to force him into, you know, making poor decisions and forcing errors, I just don't see them being able to overcome the scheming of the Eagles this season. I just don't, man. The Eagles have been really good about just dialing up some really crazy shit. And Jalen Hurts seems much more comfortable playing this season, even when he's been injured. Now, they have been much more mistake prone. Some of that was Gardner Minshew, but even Hurts has been a little bit more mistake prone. And their players have been more mistake prone. That's the one thing that the Giants got going for them. And I mean, you know, the Eagles defense is no punk ass defense. So it's, the Giants are going to have their work cut out for them to get a win in this game, but I am going to pick Eagles in this game. So I know I kind of spoke about it before, Bengals at Bills. 3 weeks ago, we almost got to witness, you know, these two teams take each other on in week 17. And I personally feel that during that week, the Bengals did have the upper hand in this game as far as that matchup. I feel that way because the decision-making process of the Bengals was very tight and very finite and very clear, and they were healthier. They've got 2 to 3 offensive linemen injured. They've got 2 or 3 guys in the secondary injured. I think one of their linebackers is injured. You know, they've got the Bengals now are dealing with injuries that they didn't have just 3 weeks ago. And that's going to be the only Achilles heel that the Bills have to expose on the Bengals. If they can expose that, they've got a very good chance to win this game. That being said, if you flip to the other side of this coin, the Bills' decision-making process has been trash for 6 or 7 weeks. Okay? Lots of mistakes, lots of heated pushing and shoving that could potentially get players ejected, you know, poor defensive play, you know, not terribly poor. They've just been really, really erratic for what we've seen out of the Buffalo Bills for the past 2 or 3 years. So it's like the tail end of the season when, you know, them finally, it's finally rearing its ugly head that they have a different offensive coordinator. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, as good as the Bills have been all fucking season, this is their big fucking test, their big real first test. And the fact that they almost lost to the fucking Dolphins, who are depleted across the fucking board and who eked into the playoffs. The Bills have an uphill battle. And the biggest problem of all is that it's kind of a twofold thing. The Bengals just don't make very many mistakes, right? They just don't. And even if they do make mistakes, they actually recover from them really good. Like the defense is pretty good about covering up the mistakes of the offense and vice versa. But the Bengals don't make very many mistakes, which here lately the Bills have been making a fair bit of mistakes. And then for 2, the Bengals have been very, very good, just like last season, about second half adjustments. Those are the two things I see that spell disaster for the Bills. So I am going to pick the Bengals on this, but I think this has the potential to be a very close, whoever fucking has the ball last kind of game. It's possible. We'll see. Last game, Cowboys at 49ers. I would love to say that I see a clear winner here, but I just don't. Okay, I really wholeheartedly don't. What I see most likely to be the outcome is that the 49ers defense is much more capable of forcing the Cowboys to make terrible mistakes to cost them control of this game. And that is a big key, is control of the game. On the flip side of that coin, though, is the Cowboys defense, if they can get sustained pressure on Brock Purdy, I mean, up in his face, shutting down the run, forcing him to fucking just chuck the fucking ball all over the place, and collapsing the pocket, which is a big ask, just constantly keeping pressure on Purdy, this could be a very long game for the 49ers as well. It's just my opinion, but this is either going to be an absolute blowout of assertive dominance of one team, or it's going to come down to, again, like the Bills and the Bengals, it being, whoever's got the ball last, and it's probably going to be a very low-scoring game because you got two very good defenses and then an erratic offense and a very, very stable, boring offense. So, we'll see. We'll see, man. I mean, I've got faith that Brock Purdy can maintain his composure into this. Thus far, he's been looking pretty good under stress. So I'm going 49ers in this game for that. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching. Okay, and as always, we'll catch you next week when we discuss the conference championship games. Catch you later.